All right, another name arc here. Got to talk about episode 12 of King-Ohger. Good episode. Love this episode. Big fan of Jeremy, honestly. And I know by the beginning of this episode, we don't really know much about Jeremy yet. For some odd reason, everyone confronting him and him starting to read the King-Ohger, like the story from the book to everyone was really interesting because, he said he wrote it and that the Bugnarok awakening 2,000 years from their slumber was kind of like a prophecy of his, but it all seemed really on brand for his character for how he was acting and his body language. I'm like, we haven't seen him like that much, but I'm just like, man, something about this character just like hits good, and I really enjoyed through all this like Rita being very unfazed by Jeremy because Rita just arrests him and takes him into custody. um I was curious now that you know Jeremy has the legend, the Greater Guardian like souls and everything. Like, okay, well, what's the next plan for like the Death Narok and from Death Narok and like the Bug Narok? And basically now it's to just steal those souls from Jeremy. So it's like, okay, they still have the same goal, steal the souls, but it's like if the prophecy was to get the key to unlock his mask, then what's the point of them getting them? What is there like another prophecy then? Because I don't know. I am glad we got another trial though, even if you could call it that. Because uh, Rita being serious and claiming Jeremy is guilty because Rita didn't like that. Jeremy won't even answer who he is, his nationality, his age, or anything, but instead goes on this big tangent explaining how you're supposed to read a story. And I just like how Gear is just like intense, like yes, this is how we read stories. I like stories, and um, he actually reveals that he knew Sasorian's uh the soul was in that hidden there in the kingdom because he actually placed it there and he was actually the one who put it there, which came to a shock to Rita. And I was like, okay, so the main thing about this episode before the ending and everything else is just seeing how Jeremy interacts with each of the rulers and in their respected kingdoms, and kind of like how he has a tie almost to every single one of the kingdoms. And I just wish there was more stuff for Tofue because nothing really happened there. Because this whole entire time, Dabowski, we got some more story for him, which I'm really want to know more about. And I hate that we didn't get much from it because this whole entire time, his retainer is, taking, relaying messages to him about what's going on from the trial and this and that. And he's talking once again to Rackley's and Rackley's brings up Dabowski's sister, whose name's Suzumi. And I'm not sure what's going on there, but Rackley's in a threatening way says, your sister's doing fine, but that all depends on his and Dabowski's attitude. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So Rackley's has Dabowski's sister like kidnapped in prison? Like, what the hell? Like, I feel like I need some more information on this, and I like this is gonna be like I'm gonna be thinking about this until we get more about it, and I really hope it's in the next episode because I'm gonna bring this up in every review until it's talked about what's going on with his sister, because that's a major thing to have kind of like revealed. Um, so like I said, Jeremy going to each kingdom because now he's in Akospa and they have used their tech to make a lie detector, which has a big antenna on it. And basically, if you lie, you get struck by lightning. And in some funny moments, Gira is the test dummy for it. And obviously, because it's on brand for Yanma, he asks, "Are you really a bad guy?" And he's like, "I'm the Tyrant King." Blah, goes on a spiel and gets shocked and knocked out completely. And I was like, oh. Even Jeremy points out, like, this, are you sure this is a lie detector test and not a torture device? And I'm like, yeah, this is very, very accurate. Um, Once again, uh, Jeremy is, he's telling the truth. He's saying everything, but he's not giving the information, the answer. He's saying his name, it works, this and that. But he brings up a name, Jin, which shocks Yanma because that's an older man that actually taught Yanma everything he knows about technology. And Jeremy claims that he's the one who taught him. And he even says, I'm the reason why you're able to control the King-Ohgers. And I'm like, hmm. And we find out that Jeremy actually gave hints to humans on how to revive King-Ohger years ago. And then he also gave the Bugnarok a hint as to where to find the Greater Guardians. So he's playing both sides. And it's great because he's not telling them flat out like everything. And he keeps bringing up, hey, you know, you need to know how to, like, when he's explaining how to read a story. And then he's like, you got to read between the lines. He's like, I'm giving you the hints. Like, you got to see, like, he's basically saying, like, I've given you enough information where you should be able to put two and two together and figure out what's going on. And like I said, having, you know, this history to every, like, kingdom to an extent really is good, because, like, we find it, because it kind of adds to him wanting to be like the ruler of everything, you know. And so when Himeno's retainer kidnap him from Rita, you know, he basically gives Himeno Scorpion's soul as a gift. And now everyone shows up there, Rita as well, and Rita finally got some information thanks to Morphonia being such a good, diligent retainer with being able to obtain information. We find out that Jeremy has been known as this person throughout history known as the Spider-Man. No, not that Spider-Man. Wrong Spider-Man. Listen, same Toei, wrong Spider-Man. But apparently, since about 1,000 years ago or so, there have been recorded documents of this sightings of him periodically through time, whether it was a decade or so, 100 years here and there, and we see little clips on papers and notes of, like, you know, basically you could see Jeremy with his mask on throughout history of people having sightings of him. And I can't tell you enough how, like, much Jeremy's personality I like and enjoy, because this whole entire time he just keeps stressing that, you know, you can't, because he's not going to tell you the full backstory. He does eventually, but this whole time he's like, well, how do you guys not get it yet? How do you guys not know what's going on? I've told you the story. So then this time he starts reading the story one more time, but then he turns to a blank page. And oh, I forgot, there's a ridiculous part. So Guerra, while he's, like, getting really mad that no one figured it out, we get this thing where it zooms in on Guerra's pupil. It goes in, you see, like, the nerve, like the brain neurons firing off with different clips as you think Guerra is finally solving everything from, you know, all these key phrases Jeremy has been saying this whole entire time. But then he ends with, nope, I don't know. And I'm just like, really? And Jeremy finally just had enough, and he rereads it, like I said, and he goes to a blank page. He said there was also a sixth hero, not the five with the legend King-Ohger. We find out the sixth hero committed a crime and was erased from history, and it was because this hero fell in love with a Bugnarok, and they ran away and had a child. And because there's power in this and that, they were the ones who put the mask on him, actually. And in one of the cooler scenes, Jeremy takes off his fancy glove, which is very fancy, by the way, waiting for that to drop on Premium Bandai, because you know it will. And he reveals he has, like, a cool Bugnarok hand. And I was like, well, that kind of explains the web abilities then, because he has bug hand. So we finally figure out Jeremy's main motivation. It is that people like him, the in-betweens, as he calls it, and everyone regardless should be all equal in the kingdom. And that's why he wants to be the one king. I was like, I get that. And my favorite thing is everyone was subtly shocked at his story, but most of them gave him attitude and were mad because he just didn't start off with saying that. Like, they were just like, why didn't you just start with this from the beginning? What the hell? Like, this and that. And this actually, Jeremy was actually kind of appeased by this, because he's like, oh, wait, okay, so I'm accepted. And he's like, I love you. And then everyone's like, wait, what? Like, and before I was hoping to get more of this, but Deathnarok shows up, of course. And Jeremy stops him. He's like, I got this. And even asks him, what do you feel about how do you feel about coexisting with humans? Which is, it goes exactly how you would have, think you would. And Jeremy proclaims he's going to rule over everyone. That's it. And his transformation, so good. I like the music, because I heard, like, the leaked one. I don't know if it was the phone quality that they recorded from this night. It sounded bad, but hearing it actually in an official capacity on the show, hiccup, it was really good. I actually enjoyed it. I wish there was a little more music to his actual transformation, while he was transforming, but it kicked right into some OST. I was like, this music so good. And Jeremy and Death Knock are fighting, visually appealing once again. But all the fights in King-Ohger have been appealing, and so I wasn't even like shocked at all that it was a good fight. I do like that he after Death Knock retreats, we once again get into the episode ending with Jeremy narrating again, but this time he changes it up and he says, so both man and Bugnarok and even rulers themselves in the presence of the king of the in-between all swore their fealty. So the story goes. And I'm like, oh man, I like this whole so the story goes. Like, put that on some merch. But like this was such a good the last episode was a good introduction, and this was a good episode of giving the characters story, their motivations, their goals, and not doing it in the traditional sense where they just go on a monologue about how I'm here to take over this and that. It's like it was spread out through the whole entire episode, and he wanted you to figure it out the whole entire time, which I really enjoyed, which is different, and the suit looks nice, honestly. I was curious, after the first 5 episodes of basically getting everyone together, then, going into episode 6 with the whole, Rackley's and Gira fight and everything else, like, and all that, like, where were we going to go from there? I feel like everyone's still getting a good amount of screen time. We're still getting enough information going on. Like I said, the new stuff about Dabowski and his sister, I'm really curious about that. But I'm also curious to get more interaction between Jeremy and the other characters. I really want to see, and I know I sound like a broken record, but after the interaction, like I kind of want to see someone who's outlandish like Jeremy interacting with Rita more, because he's a storyteller, this and that, and Rita's matter of factly this and that. Like I want to see them interact more. But yeah, dude, this is such a good episode. Let me know what you guys thought. Like, obviously, I did This Week in Candy Toys. I also did a video going over the DX God Tarantula, which I am picking up for sure. I just found out the other two little shoe gods that go with it don't come with it. They're separate, so I'm really upset about that. So I'm going to have to order those too. But that's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.